Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Charlton Chronicles. As you can see, slightly different tonight. Emma is here, but she isn't. She's having a nice meal at Miller and Carter, so hopefully she'll enjoy being posh for the evening. And she's left me. She's left the stream in the watchful command of myself again for the second time in a row this week. So, I'm on hosting duties again. As you can see, we're without Emma tonight, and we're also without Paul, but we do have the usual suspects of Tom, Steve, and Sid to dissect the shenanigans that have gone on at Charlton this week. So let's start off with Tom. How you doing tonight, mate?
I'm all right. A bit obviously disappointing from yesterday, but is what it is. The international break has come at the perfect time. Put it that way.
Yeah, although I must say after that performance, I suppose I agree with you, but also I absolutely hate the international break because it means no club football. So it's kind of like, swings and roundabouts, but it's what it is. And Steve and Sid, how are you all doing?
Absolutely knackered still, I'm afraid, Tyler. Yeah, we got home at 11:30 last night. We had a horrific journey back from Preston. Everything went wrong that you could possibly imagine. But luckily we walked through the door at a time before the next day. Apart from that, Sydney's result this morning cheered us all up. So all good.
Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, I remember seeing the updates on, the Chronicles chat that we've got and on Twitter as well. It always seems to be London Euston when it comes to the way. It always seems to be the case with that station. But I can imagine that was an absolute hell journey there and back. And I suppose the football wasn't exactly, kind of tipped off a pretty poor day, to be honest. But it's what it is. I'm sure it was a good day out as well. Sid, did you enjoy yourself up in Preston, minus all the chaos of the travel and the football being a downer?
It was all right. I mean, when I checked the weather yesterday morning, it was said it was going to be like storm, rain and wind, but it actually wasn't cold at all. Just a little bit of wind, but no rain, so all good.
Good. Obviously, as we all know, we will be talking about the Preston game. Obviously, very disappointing. Probably the first game all season that we'd have to say we've been outplayed all year, to be honest. So we will dissect that. And obviously, as it is the international break, we don't have another game to preview. So it's just the Preston game we'll be talking about tonight. I'm not sure how long this will run through, but there's a few things to talk about as ever. As ever, when it comes to me hosting the Chronicles, I can't get the chat up. So Tom will be in charge of that again. So feel free to say hello to people in the chat that are there.
Yeah, Rob's in there. Chris is in there. Jack's in there. Charlie's in there. Tracy's in there. Glennie's in there. Emma's not here. She's obviously at a pub. Stuart's in there as well. Paul's in there. He's having a few pints, so he's also not here. Mark's in there as well. David's in there as well. Soph, good evening. Ian, good evening. Chris, good evening. There's quite a few people in here tonight, actually.
Good. One of the usual suspects at the whole clan for what hopefully should be an interesting stream. But I suppose we'll just get straight into it then, talking about Preston. Obviously, a 2-0 defeat. As I said, probably the first game this season where we'd have to turn around and say, we probably deserved that loss. I think Preston, to be honest with you, they were better than us in all departments, to be honest. I felt we just lacked the cutting edge. Didn't really, look like scoring for most of the game in Preston. The first goal was very fortunate through. Someone we'll probably talk about a bit later and knew exactly that he was going to find the back of the net. And then, I think from that point onwards, I think it was clear how the game was going to go, to be honest. So starting with you, Tom, without going through individual performances, because, of course, we'll talk about the different areas of the pitch in more detail. But give us your overall thoughts on that game. 2-0 defeat to Preston.
First half, I actually didn't think we were terrible. I thought, okay, because we usually start quite slow anyway, so I thought, okay, we'll go into the game a bit. That second half was something of a nightmare. To not have a single shot on target the entire game was absolutely diabolical. I know we'll probably go into it later on about the front line, as always. But I mean, it was we said on the Wednesday show he's gonna score, and look what he did. I mean, it wasn't a screamer, thankfully, but he scored, and obviously the celebration is what it is. It was giving it to him. He gave it back to us. I know some fans aren't happy about it, but it's going to happen at the end of the day. And as I say, the international break has come at the perfect time because, I mean, if you ask me, I'm actually quite happy sort of thing, because I mean we're in a good position as well. Because I mean not many of us thought we'd be around mid-table in the championship. Put it that way. But yeah, other than that, I'm all right. Obviously, as you say, we'll get into player people soon, but to not have a shot again on target is absolutely insane, especially for the fans that went up and that long old bloody journey and back.
Just typical, really, isn't it? With the whole, the whole travel nightmare, getting up there and getting back as well, and then to put in a performance like that where we just lack so much cutting edge going forward, especially. And I think everything that we predicted would happen. Thierry getting on the score sheet and everything, and but I think, to be honest, I agree on all counts. To be fair, I mean, the fact that we're still mid-table, I think that was the general feeling among the fan base, even though that was a poor performance. I think generally we just accepted that we're going to have games like that across the season. And the fact that we're mid-table, 9 games, 3 wins, 3 draws, 3 defeats, in hindsight, that's, again, we'd probably bit your hand off for the start of the season there. Steve, coming to you, I'll just get your overall thoughts on the game, what you felt of what was a pretty dire day all round, to be honest.
Can I be the first one to say that it wasn't a Thierry Small goal? It was an own goal, by the way. Kane Ramsey.
Yes. Yeah. Lucky deflection.
Did
it go down as a Thierry official goal? Was it an own goal?
I think they gave it to him officially, but it definitely got a deflection. And I think
wicked deflection.
Kaminsky would have thrown his cap on it if it had got through. But there you go. I actually thought yesterday was probably one of the strangest games of the season as well. In regards to what I mean by that, I sat and watched the first half there, and I didn't really see them scoring, if I'm being honest with you. They were putting balls into the box. They had a couple of shots from outside the box, but I don't ever thought that they looked they looked impressive first half, but I didn't think they were potentially going to trouble us. And then we came out for the second half. The less about the second half performance, the better. I don't really know what happened there. I don't know if it caused any disruption when they took Tyrese off. It looked like they were doubling up on him in the first half, and as soon as we potentially took him off, then it's kind of freed them up a little bit, if that's what it looked like for me anyway. But it was worrying again, the lack of goal threat that we had. I think we got into some nice positions. I thought the midfield, competed pretty well yesterday, and the back line was pretty much solid. But we just got a bit overawed in the second half. I think we got overrun. It was one of those games where as soon as the first goal went in, you couldn't really see us getting an equaliser, and it was always potentially going to be a second as well. But in the cold light of day, it's one to dust ourselves down. I saw a stat today saying that the 3 games that we've lost this season are all 3 teams in the top 6, which if you're going to lose to those guys up the top, we'll have potentially some what might be classed as bigger cup finals along in the season. But to be where we are in the table at this international break again is decent. We're 6 points off the bottom, which is great. And I think the ultimate game in this league this year is to stay up. So disappointment, but cold light of the day reality is okay.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to look at it, to be fair. I think the 3 teams, as you say there, that we have lost to, they are good sides. It's not as if we've lost to poor opposition. Preston, Leicester and QPR, they're not mugs. And I think I agree with you there as well in the first half. I think, to be honest, it was quite open. And I mean, we didn't really threaten them, but then again, they didn't. I think I agree, to be fair. I don't think that they didn't really look like testing us too much. They looked threatening going forward, and the options that they had. Thierry had a very good game, I think we do have to say, and Dobbin and Jefferson linked up well up top as well. But just whatever happened in the second half, we just come out and didn't look up for it, really, did we? It was just kind of just all over the pitch. They just completely ran over us and one to forget. But as you said, if we talk about the start of the season again, I think it's the position that we want to be going into the international break. And then Sid, coming to you, we've mentioned him a few times. We may as well just get him out of the way now. Thierry Small. I think we all predicted it was going to happen, whether it was his goal or not. But they officially gave it to him, and obviously the fans very much got on his back, which I think was expected to happen. With the whole, football banter, it's going to happen, isn't it? But obviously he has every right, in my opinion, to give it back to us as well. We gave him grief all game. He's well within his right to do it. And to be honest, I mean, you know, we talk about the whole like Judas stuff, but I think, to be honest, I've every amount of respect for Thierry. To be honest, it was not as if he refused to play for the club like a certain someone that we remember. He ultimately made the move that he felt was right for his career, and fair play to him. You know, I think he's a very talented young player. It's not as if he's gone. You know, I remember when he left the club, and some Charlton fans turned around going, "Yeah, he should play sport. He was rubbish," which just isn't true. I mean, yeah, his end product was poor, but everything else that he could have done, you know, the potential was there, and he could argue that we have replaced him now, but you know, he was a very good player. So I wanted to get your thoughts on how you felt he played and the reception from the fan base and how he gave it back to us with that celebration.
I just think that fans in that case have more power over the player, because as the player, you shouldn't focus on the fans, focus on the game, whereas he focused more on what the fans were saying. And then the fact of his whole celebration, thinking that he can just give it back, is a bit ridiculous. And then he's like kissing the badge. You're like, what is the logic here? And then he did a post-match interview which I watched, and it had a clip of it where he got asked about our fans giving it to him, and he basically said that even though we were giving it to him, he had all respect for us and wishes us the best in the future. Now that's not what I thought in the game, because it's all now that you realise that you've just given it to us, but now you know that you're going to get it even more. So I think he should just kind of back off and just leave us alone, because why is he trying to start something when, okay, we get you scored, it wasn't even your goal, and it got marked down as officially yours, but it's not yours. So I don't know why he's trying to do anything. But I mean, he didn't have a bad game, but his crosses were atrocious. I don't know what was going on there. But apart from that, I mean, he did all right, but no need to give it back.
I do
the
have to
chat,
say,
by the way, is loving Sid.
You have just made me remember of that one cross he had. I think it was in the first half where he, you know, cut inside the left and crossed it. It went out for a throw. I don't think I've laughed that hard watching that happen, because I think the fans behind the goal were loving it as well. And I was like, yep, there we go. That's the Thierry that we know and love. And then I remember just as the second half kicked off, I'm like, he's going to score, isn't he? He's going to score.
Yeah,
and it's exactly what happened. I mean, look, at the end of the day, the way I see it, I mean, it's all just part and parcel of football, isn't it? That's all it is. I think, you know, it was obvious we were going to give it to him going into the game. It was obvious that was going to happen. And yeah, he's played up to the fans, hasn't he? And he's got his goal, and you know, he's celebrated with the fans. And ultimately, I mean, however you look at it, I mean, it was always going to happen, was it? It's always predictable. But for me, that's football banter. That's the way it always goes. That's going to happen. But yeah, best of luck to Thierry. Just expect a whole heap of hell when he comes to the Valley. That's all I'm saying. He won't be very light there. That's all I'm saying. Right, let's talk about a bit more generally about the game. Tom, coming to you with. I'll talk to you about the lineup, because obviously there was a few changes.
Yes.
Burke was obviously brought back in the centre half, and obviously I think the biggest absentee and the surprise absentee was Amari Bell. I was actually quite surprised that he was not started, but then again, I suppose with the games that he has played, the fact that he was, well, I would have assumed that he was rested for whatever reason. So Jones has obviously
sore calf, apparently, Tyler. Sore calf, from what I'm led to believe.
Sore calf, okay.
Sore calf, yeah.
So keeping an eye on him then in that case.
Yeah, I think
and then, of course, Ramsey obviously kept his spot and was put at left wing back. So I wanted to get your thoughts on, what you felt of that lineup in terms of all aspects. Was it what you were expecting from the 11 that we put out?
Apart from the backline, I didn't expect Ramsey to be put on that side. I thought maybe if Bell was carrying on, then maybe apt to come in or something like that. But I mean, Jones obviously trusts Ramsey to do his thing, and obviously I think we know from what Ramsey has done in the past that he can pretty much play anywhere along that back line. I mean, I've seen a few people say he didn't play the best, but then at the same time, I don't think anyone had like an amazing game. Obviously, I think it's the first played there for us as well. But obviously, I was very much looking forward to him against Small, and it happened a few times. And it was actually quite a good battle, to be fair. That aside, hopefully Bell isn't too injured. I mean, he's been called up for bloody Jamaica, so he can't be that bad. So who knows? But I mean, as I say, I mean, the front two, obviously, we knew what was going to happen. We knew who's going to, from the strikers down to probably the midfield, we know who's going to start. Like, there's no one else going to change unless there's some sort of injury or something. It ain't going to change. But yeah, the back line was very interesting for me. Burke come back in, I was kind of expected. I thought he did all right last Saturday, and I thought maybe it'd go maybe on the wing back, maybe I don't know, but it is what it is. As I say, Jones has got 2 weeks to fix something.
Yeah, I think we'll talk about that a bit later. But I think in terms of the starting 11, I think besides Bell not being in, obviously if his calf's feeling tight, then obviously we've got to keep an eye on him because he has been one of our better players. But besides that, I think we know exactly what we're going to get from a Jones side in terms of the lineup. So yeah, as I said, I was surprised to see Bell coming out, but I like the fact that Jones kept an eye on him, although in hindsight he probably was a miss to not be in the squad. Running through the team then, Steve, I'll give you Kaminsky. I think again, it was another game where he was kind of called into action a few times. I think he made a few decent saves. I think he made a really good one but just before they scored, which kept us in the game up until eventually they did, find the back of the net through Small, which was quite unlucky with that wicked deflection. But I think for the past 2 games, we've started to see, especially against Derby, I think we're starting to see the quality that Kaminsky can bring to this side. And I think arguably, against Derby, we arguably could have lost it with the shots that he saved. And I think against Preston, it could have been worse if he didn't have pulled off a couple of saves that he did make. So I wanted to get your thoughts on Kaminsky's performance, and is he finally starting to show the quality that we know that he has got?
Yeah, very decent performance, I thought, Tyler. Yeah, and especially this save. I couldn't really work out how he'd saved it, if I'm being brutally honest with you. It looked like it was a goal all the way, and it was one of those pure reaction saves, wasn't it? I don't know whether it was straight at him or whether he had to move his body, but either way, he kept the ball out of the net, and I thought it was an absolutely brilliant save. But yeah, I'm not sure he could have done anything about the goals, to be honest with you. The first one, obviously, the deflections killed him in that respect, and I think we got caught out as a complete back line for the second goal, and I don't think the guy could have missed. But yeah, I thought he looked solid. His kicking was pretty decent yesterday as well. Distribution was good. I after the performance at Derby, I'm not sure he looks like a character that's ever going to suffer a confidence lapse or anything like that. He looks like quite a confident guy. So onwards and upwards, and I hope he keeps playing well. Yeah.
Yeah, agreed. I think he also looks a lot more communicative with the back line as well, as I thought that he would be. And remember when we first signed him, they were saying, he's not very talkative with the defensive line, and he's not as confident when it comes to coming for crosses. But I think we've noticed that a lot more since he's come to us, and I like the fact that he is, he talks to the back line, and he's very sort of, when a mistake happens, he's very on their backs and making sure that don't do that again. But yeah, I agree. I think, to be honest, that he did, he couldn't really have done much with it. As you said, the deflection killed him for the first shot, and the second one, we just got pulled apart from a defensive aspect. You can't really blame him for that. But yeah, I think the last 2 games, he started to cover himself in glory, to be honest. And yeah, I'm excited to see, I say that, I'm hoping he's got nothing to do again, like we saw for the first 7 games. But yeah, when he is called into action, I've got a lot more confidence in him that he can do a job. Sid, I'll come to you with, I'll give you the wing backs, Bree and Ramsey. Now, obviously, Bree, I think we discussed him after Derby, the fact that he's come in for Rob Akhtar, who obviously was our player of the month in August and has now not been able to get sniffed back in the 11 again this whole month. I don't think he's started at all since the month of August, but Bree's come in and obviously played really well. Obviously, from an attacking perspective, I think across the whole board we struggled. So I don't think Bree was as effective as he has been the past few games. That's not to say he had a poor game, because I think he still did relatively well on that right side. As for Ramsey, in my opinion, to be honest with you, I think since that Millwall red card, it's been clear that something has knocked him a bit in terms of confidence. I'm not really seeing. I don't think he had a bad game. Again, it's similar to Derby. I don't think he played terribly, but I just noticed a little bit of confidence might have been shot from him with that red card. I don't know whether you see that. How did you assess the wing backs yesterday?
I think that they did all right, but then again, I don't think they're the players that they normally are. I think Ramsey got caught out a few times with Thierry Small. One time where I think it was Bree and Ramsey, where they both had to track back, whereas Thierry had already got the ball and started running. So like a bit of marking issues there. But then again, it's nothing major. But when you do look at the result, I think there do needs to be more positives out of it.
Yeah, definitely. I think, I think that's just hit the nail on the head there. To be fair, it's just one of them off days. I think for the pair of them, maybe Bree as well. I mean, not even so much an off day. To be fair, it's more like it's more just Preston just nullified us really, and they just couldn't see the best of them. But yeah, I'm sure that we know what kind of good players they are. We know how good that they are, and obviously Ramsey's sort of playing in his unnatural position. He's on his unnatural side, so to speak, playing on the left opposed to the right. But yeah, I think it was hopefully just a one-off day for the pair of them, to be fair, and hopefully the international break is the reset that we need. Tom, coming to you with the back three: Gillespie, Jones, and Reece Burke. I think first half again was probably, as Steve said, Preston didn't necessarily look like scoring, but they looked threatening coming forward, and it was a good battle, I think, between their attacks and our defence. And ultimately, in the second half, I think once Thierry got the goal, I think they just shut down. To be honest, it was just one of them. I think the whole team, to be fair, just sort of collapsed after that point. We knew after Thierry got the goal that there was only one way that was going, because the attack just couldn't score, which we will discuss in very much detail because I think it angers all of us. But yeah, talking about the back three, how do you think they played? Because I think, to be honest, generally first half it was another solid performance, but second half just capitulated a bit.
Yeah, as you say, up until Small's goal, I thought, okay, it's another normal performance from them. Jones winning pretty much everything again. Maka, I thought, put in another decent performance as well.
Yeah.
But then, as you say, after the goal, we just didn't look like the team that I saw last week against Blackburn at all. I don't know what it was. I don't know if it's a confidence issue or that there just wasn't much belief in the team. But obviously we know Preston are a good side. They've started the league very, very well, which has surprised a lot of people, to be fair. But yeah, overall, I thought the back three was all right. Like as you say, after the first goal, there was nothing really going on. Up until then, I thought it was a normal performance, as I say, and I was expecting it to play out as a 0-0, to be fair, and the way that the game was going until that mad goal, which obviously Small obviously take all day long, but yeah, I do think that back three was maybe missing Bell with the pace potentially, but that's my only kind of worry there. But otherwise, fairly decent performance.
Yeah, I agree with that about Bell, to be fair. You look at that back three that we played out there, Gillespie, Jones and Burke, and you would have thought, okay, that's a confident back four. We can be happy with that. They'll put in a solid performance. But I did think to myself, we did miss Bell in that position. And obviously it's a difficult situation with Edwards being injured, because we've kind of got no choice now but to deploy Bell as a wing back, unless of course you switch it up a little bit and play someone else in that wing, in that wide area. But yeah, I couldn't help but think that we missed Bell in that position. I think, to be fair, since Bell's not had to play that position, we haven't looked as I don't know. I don't know. It just seems like he's more of a loss in that position more than anything else, which is, not to discredit, the likes of Gillespie who have come in recently, because they have been playing very well. But I think Bell was a miss. And the fact that we're now having to deploy him as a wing back, he is quick, but he's not as fast to sort of run down the channel, and he's not someone to, bomb forward and put balls into the box like Edwards is. So in that sense, Edwards is a big miss, but also Bell was a big loss as well in that position. And, I think we have got to be careful with him, because obviously, his calf was obviously was sore enough to not start, but not sore enough to come on the pitch. Obviously, he can't make an appearance. But yeah, I think we have got his one to look after. Steve Sid, coming to you with the midfield three. Obviously, Coventry, I think, again, putting in he's just Mr. Consistent, isn't he? But perhaps not as noticeable this time round. Doherty, I think, again, was very noticeable for me. I think, again, he stood out amongst the midfield three again. Put in another captain's performance, was very good, defensively especially. Sonny Carey tried to get things going, but I think, we can't knock his work ethic whatsoever. But again, I think in terms of creativity, I think as a whole, we struggled. If I'm trying not to single out Carey, I just think generally, attackingly, we struggled. But yeah, what do you think of the midfield three, how they played yesterday?
I echoed your sentiments on a lot of that, to be honest with you, Tyler. I thought Doc was outstanding. I thought he was the real engine yesterday. I thought he drove us forward, and he defended well. He got on the ball. He made some really good interceptions. And I think his use of the ball was probably as good as it's been this season in that game yesterday. I thought Connor did his usual bits, got in, broke the play up. His passing was good again. There were a couple of moments that within the first half that their number 10 seemed to have a little bit of space. I think they got a couple of shots off when they weren't really under any pressure at all. It was probably just a lack of quality that saved us there in that respect. I thought Carey was really busy in the first half. I thought he got on the ball. I thought he was buzzing around the front two, tried to make some stuff happen, tried to get on it, tried to penetrate. I don't think he had a lot of success up there with the guys that were up there, to be honest with you. There were a couple of good crosses and a couple of good passes, and he genuinely looked really busy. But out of the three departments yesterday, I think the midfield did really well, to be honest with you. They're a talented side. They got some talented players in that midfield, and I think we competed man for man in that area. We possibly just got a bit overrun in the second half with those guys, but I'd just say a special mention for Doc, because I thought he was outstanding yesterday.
Yeah, another performance to show that he has got it for this level. We were saying after the first game that maybe the Championship wasn't his level anymore, but he certainly proved us wrong. And I think with that midfield three, we know exactly what we're going to get with them now, because they're undroppable at the minute for me with the performances they're putting in. They link up so well. The energy is there, the work ethic is there, and obviously we know what sort of quality they can bring to this side. Perhaps got overrun in the second half, as you say, but we know exactly what we're getting with those three. Sid, the substitutions was again another topic to talk about. I think after that game, I think against Derby, we were sitting there going, he did it too early, and I think against Preston, I saw a few people were saying we'd done them too late. But looking at the substitutions that were made, of course, TC was hooked off around about, I think, before the hour mark, which, to be honest, I was stunned by. I did not think Jones would have took him off that early, but it was a welcome change because we will talk about his performance in a second. Leeburn, of course, replaced him. And then after the first goal went in, he made 3 changes off the back of that. So Nibs come on for Carey, Tanto come on for Kelman, I believe. And then I think that's when Bell come on as well. I think did Bell come on for Burke, I want to say. I think it was Burke he come on for. Pretty sure it was.
Yeah,
I'm pretty certain it was.
And then Connor came on for. Was it Berry?
Yeah, Connor
Berry came on.
Luke Berry, which was random, quite unexpected to see him come on. So yeah, what did you make of those substitutions? If they made any sort of impact on the game in terms of how they did and how they affected the game, or if the momentum shifted when they came on? Because obviously we made 3 straight after we conceded the first goal.
I mean, I think it's kind of hard to judge because when you look at it from a attacking perspective, it wasn't the best because, I mean, you've brought on 2 midfielders and 2 strikers, and it didn't really change the game. I mean, I think, again, Miles and Tanto did press a lot and their work effort was up, but I didn't think Nibs and Berry did a lot. And as you just said, Tyler, I think Berry was a really random one because I think even though Cov looked tired, I think he could have kept going.
Yeah, Berry was strange considering that the only appearance he's made this season was in the Cup against Stevenage, and we just haven't seen him since. So it was kind of like, okay, a bit odd he's on the bench for a start. Second of all, him coming on, especially considering where we've got another midfielder in Rankin Costello who's played more minutes than him and has been more involved in the team as him this year. I think when Leeburn come on, it was obvious that we were going for a system change in that we were going more central with TC coming off. And again, we'll discuss that in a second. But yeah, we looked to go more central when he come on. And obviously, Jones has reacted to the first goal to try and make changes. I felt, as you said, Tanto pressed well. I actually felt Nibs pressed well again. I think I've noticed that since he's been in the side. I think his press has been very good. But since he scored against Watford and the chances he had against Bristol City, I think we're kind of lacking that sort of, attacking. I suppose Derby as well. I mean, he could have scored the winner there as well. But I think generally, since he's been making appearances off the bench, we haven't really seen as much quality as what Carey has shown, so I think that's something that he's potentially got to work on. Obviously, Bell come on as well for a bit more defensive assurance, and then, as I said, Berry was just incredibly random. I'm staying on the topic of substitutions. Tom, do you think we perhaps could have gone a little bit more different and more creative in terms of the attacking options? Because I look at, the big one for me is Rob Apter. I don't know what the hell he's done to win Player of the Month in August and then not make a single appearance since then. I don't know what's happened to him whatsoever. And I think I made the point on Wednesday where why don't we try him on the left side and give us a bit more creativity? Because I see him as something similar to Edwards because he's rapid and he can cut in on the left and he can put balls in the box and he looks to cross at every opportunity. And dare I even say, would it have been worth giving Ornel Hernandez a shot as well for the same reason? A bit more creativity, a bit more pace going forward. So do you think perhaps we could have seen them, or even someone like Rankin Costello to come on instead of Berry, considering he's been in the team a bit longer than Berry has in terms of this season, in terms of being around the squad.
Yeah, I mean, this game was screaming for Apter. To be fair, I mean, I thought their defense wasn't that quick either. Obviously, apart from small, but I thought Apter could have run at them, and they also looked knackered around the 75th minute as well, so it could have worked. I'm surprised Hernandez didn't come on for TC. To be fair, because that's sort of his area of the pitch as well, and obviously Jones said he's pretty much ready to play. So I thought maybe try something different, but obviously he trusts Berry, as we all know. I mean, it was something different. We've not seen Berry in the league, so it might have worked. It was a bit of a weird one, but as you say, Liba and Alafe, I thought did their job a bit. Nibs, I think he's looked a bit more lively in the last two or three games. He seems a lot more match fit and ready. Because I think before the first international break, he looked a bit leggy, if that makes sense. But yeah, I mean, even with what's it called? I think when Bell came on, I thought Apter maybe would have come on and gone maybe left wing back sort of thing. Because obviously Breeze not going to come off. Jones loves that man. But yeah, I mean, it's an interesting one. Obviously, as I say, he's got 2 weeks to sort it out because Chef Wednesday is not going to be easy, put it that way. But yeah, it's a weird one, as I say. Obviously, Goddard isn't too far away either, so who knows? It could be a thing of he's ready after the international break. I don't know. But yeah, there's so many names on that bench that could come on and change the game. But Jones, I think after the first goal, he was just trying to chuck people on.
Yeah, almost like throw things at a wall, or sticks sort of thing. But I think it comes back to the selection headache that he has with this squad, because I think we can all agree that the options we've got off the bench are just paramount. They're just there's so many options and so many ways we can change this game. And obviously he's tried to do it in a way that he thinks would have worked, and on this occasion it didn't. But yeah, I agree. I think this was a game that, to be honest, it was screaming out for Apter. Just something different. Just nothing was working with the forward line, which will be the next thing we'll discuss. But may as well just give it a shot, see what he could have offered to the side.
I don't know what Apter's done to really because I don't think he's played a single minute in September or something.
I don't think he has at all. I don't think he's featured whatsoever, which is strange. Like, again, you got to just wonder what has happened. I mean, obviously, when he was dropped for Sheffield United, Bree coming, we was like, okay, a bit of defensive assurances, but then suddenly we realised Bree is also very good going forward, and it suddenly left Apter out, and now Edwards is injured. I mean, yeah, okay, Bell is naturally a wing back, but it's clear that he hasn't really got the legs to play that position anymore, and he's much.
Ramsey's also not a left wing back either to me.
Same with Ramsey, exactly. So, and Apter's left-footed, so why not give him a shot in that position? And Hernandez, I think it's too early for him to be starting.
Yeah,
but I think we can give him a couple of minutes. Before we get into the big topic, which we will discuss, Tom, is there any interesting points in the chat?
I was about to say everyone in the chat's pretty much saying that we are missing Edwards on that side. Because the step up he's made for this league is absolutely insane. Let me go to the comments further up. People are saying that we look tired. They stopped our high press. Just got honest for most of the game. Everyone was going on at Sid when she was doing her thing. Sid for Prime Minister.
Oh yeah, someone said to me, if I have a picture with me and Thierry, would I delete it after yesterday? No, because as much as I hate some players, why delete the memories?
Rusto said that Kelman looked better. Him and TC isn't working, as I'm sure we'll get onto it. People are racing Kaminsky. Ramsey's looked average the last 2 games. Defo loss of confidence. People are saying maybe play TC or Fuller at left wing back as well. I don't think Fuller's ready to start yet.
Yeah, and TC's
no. Stuart says Berry's not the answer. What is that? Mark said I'd love to see a 4-3-3, a Lafayette, Liban, and TC up top.
Maybe worth a formation change, but then again, it's the problem.
That's pretty much it. I think, yeah. Emma's also in there. My girl Sid will be taking over this pod in a few years.
A matter of time with that speech. That was absolutely yeah, right. Let's get into the controversial issue then, shall we? The front two, as we seem to continuously talk about on this podcast. Kelman and TC annoyed me against Preston for two very different reasons. Kelman annoyed me in that he was having to do TC's job. I think it was another good performance from him. I think his pressing was excellent and he had a really good game, and he was actually one of the only players in the forward line that was actually trying. But what really annoyed me is that he just found himself playing out on the wing and sprinting down the wide end and putting balls into the box. And I'm sat there going, TC's on the other side of the pitch. That should be him. That should be his game, what he's doing. And it might be controversial, but I felt Kelman and TC actually looked to find each other a lot more in that game, unusually, because Kelman kept trying to put balls into the box. Neither of them are coming off. I mean, to be fair, TC had one really good opportunity where he, if he was a couple of yards extra ahead and he stuck a foot out, perhaps that could have gone in. That was really close. But yeah, again, I was impressed by Kelman's performance, to be honest. I just found him, I was just annoyed by the fact that he wasn't playing the role that he was supposed to be playing. And as for TC, I don't know at this point. It's just. I mean, it's the same. I feel like I'm saying the same thing every single week. It's just this front two doesn't work, but we knew exactly what was going to happen. Jones was going to stick with it. He wasn't going to change it, and I think it was clear yesterday. Well, in my eyes, anyway, it's going to become a really big problem. So, Steve, I'll come to you first. TC and Kelman, what did you make of their performance individually and also collectively as a front two?
Yeah, I think we all knew that they were going to get chosen again yesterday. It's a little bit of a worry. I think there's probably a lot of fans now that are getting to a stage where they're not even really looking at performances. They're just thinking, did they contribute in regards to assists? Did they score? And the more and more games we play, and the more and more times that they don't score, the more and more the pressure's going to get ramped up. I genuinely do feel that if he does play those two, they've got to play closer together. I think Paul made a point on the last podcast that Tyrese is out wide a lot, and he's almost alienating Charlie. Charlie's in the middle, and I think if we're going to operate that, we've got two good wing backs flying down either side, and I think Bree got into a couple of lovely positions yesterday and put balls across the box. And I made a comment to Sid on I think it was the second one. Ball came into the 6-yard box, and I said to Sid, I just wonder if that had been Kelman in an Orient shirt last year, he'd have probably been in the right place. He would have probably been in the right place because he knows the players, he knows and he's probably got people in and around him that are making the runs that he's probably not worrying about too much, but his natural run will probably take him to the ball. But as I say, they were flashed across the balls. Yesterday they got blocked. He wasn't there. The kid blatantly needs a goal. He worked hard again, Charlie, yesterday, and on another day he may well have opened his account. But there's definitely an issue there. It's something that Jones, I think, now has got to address. And as I say, as much as you can talk about hard work, as much as you can talk about creativity, one of them's got to put the ball in the net at some point. Yeah. One of them's got to make an assist. Someone's got to do something off the cuff. Someone's got to produce a bit of magic to go, right, bang, you're up and running now. And the problem is with Kelman, I'm convinced. I'm utterly convinced. Once he scores, I'm convinced to go on a run. I'm convinced of it. Yeah. But the longer and longer that it gets to a situation where he's plugging away and he doesn't get a goal, and the pressure heaps on, the fans get potentially on his back. It's going to be harder and harder. But Jones is the only one that can make these changes. Jones is the only one that can potentially make a change, whether it be two or one person coming in alongside, whether it be Kelman or Campbell, whichever one you want to say. Something needs to change up there, because we can't keep going into games where we have another blank 45 minutes. People are scratching their head in the stands. Jones is potentially looking at who he's going to bring on 60 minutes. It would really be nice for one of the forwards to produce a bit of magic, get hold of the game, score a goal, create something in the first 5-10 minutes. That would be really, really decent. But all the time that this drought continues, I think the pressure is going to be on those two players to convert, to assist. And as I say, Jones is the only one that can change it. But
Exactly.
Those two up front, he loves them, doesn't he? So what will happen is anyone's guess. It's anyone's guess, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's spot on all counts. To be honest, I think as we were making the point earlier, we're saying that they drift too far wide. They don't play close to each other, and I think it was quite odd considering the fact that usually it's TC that drifts wide, but actually against Preston it was Kelman that found himself drifting wide, which just shows how sort of alienated they are together. Like it's not a partnership that links up well. But I completely agree in that once one of them gets a ball in the back of the net, like Kelman for me, every time I watch him play, I find myself supporting him more than anyone else because I just want it to work for him. Ultimately, he has got the most pressure on this team, in my opinion, because he's come in as our big money signing. He's been expected to bag the goals. He hasn't scored yet. But, we talk about him still trying to integrate into a new system. It's going to get to a point where we can't use that excuse anymore. But he just needs to hit the back of the net. And it's not as if he's not trying. He's in a system that he's still getting accustomed to. He's working with a strike partner that doesn't work with him. But he's putting in the effort. The effort's there. He's getting shots. He's trying. He is trying, and I am completely convinced. Every time he gets the ball, I was on the edge of my seat. It's edge of my seat every time he had the ball because I was just hoping and praying that he could just do something. I hope that it works. So Kelman's completely got my completely.
We saw it on Tuesday as well for that touch.
Exactly.
He has it in him. It's just it's not working. And for me, I think Ross has put it in chat. It has to be Godden or Tanto up there with him.
I agree.
And I think until Goddard is back fit, Tanto needs to come on and be up there with him because I know they played against was it Cambridge, but that game was a nothing game for me. I feel like they need to have a proper go with the first team as well and see how it works. Because I feel like right now they're probably the best two to play up front together as well, and Tato can do TC's role perfectly as well.
That's the problem that we've got at the minute. It's a problem we've had all season, really. The lack of goals from the strikers has been a massive concern.
One goal.
Exactly. 9 games, 8 goals scored, 1 goal from the strikers. And the striker who scored it doesn't even start, doesn't even get a look at the team. So it's getting to the point where, we spoke about there in terms of performance levels. He's going to get to a point where people are going to forget about performance levels. And because these strikers, the truth is they do need to hit the back of the net. That's the truth.
Yes.
If we want to stay in this league, which is the ultimate aim, we have to be scoring. And Sid, I'll come to you with this. As we've just said there, 9 games, 8 goals scored across the division, 1 goal from the strikers. I know a lot of people, we're enjoying the start of the season that we've had. And, and obviously we have had a fantastic start. But at what point, well, it's probably an obvious answer because it's probably now. But at what point do we look at the issue we've got with the strikers, the fact that Tanto is the only one that has scored, and do we look at it as a serious problem? Because in my opinion, Jones really needs to start thinking about making changes because as Steve said there, we can't rely on Kelman and Campbell to start games if they're just going to do nothing for 45 minutes and the fans are left scratching their heads and then we make changes, suddenly we're going to become very predictable. So I just think something needs to change. What's your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I do think that it is a bit of a joke that only Tanto has scored out of our whole attacking lineup. And I do think that more goals need to be covered from that area. It's good that we are getting goals from other areas of the pitch, but ultimately we want our strikers to score those goals. And we're just not seeing it right now. So it definitely does need a change. And I'm going to be excited when Godden's back because I'd say then you play Godden and Leeburn or Godden and Tanto because I think that would work. And I think that with Godden and Leeburn, they know each other. They played together last season. So it isn't like a new comparison with each other. It's not a new teammate. It's the same and they do know each other's play. So I do think that something needs to change. But I would go for a Tanto and Leeburn because I do think that they are a solid duo and I think their work effort is higher than Kelman and TC. Obviously no hate to them or anything, but it is just showing the difference when they do come off of the bench.
Yeah, I think it's the most established lineup we've seen so far. I think we've said it a few times. Like we looked at them. Yes, it was in the Carabao Cup against Stevenage, as we mentioned several times. But the fact that the way that they linked up, they just clicked straight away, and it was like they feed off each other, and they're very similar but different, if that makes sense. Because they are very built. They can hold up the ball, but they've also got pace to run in behind as well.
Yeah.
well, because Lee Burn I think is deceptively quick and Tanto is absolutely rapid. So I think they've both got the characteristics that feed off each other. And as you said about Godden as well, we know that in this system he can score goals. Yes, it was in League One. Championship is obviously, Godden's not getting any younger. Can he still do it in the Championship? That's a question that we've got to think about. But I am excited to see what he can do, because the attacking line at the minute, we're very sort of out of ideas, and we're very sort of limited in terms of Jones sticking with the same front two. I mean, yes, obviously that's his team, that's his decision, and he loves TC. He's not going to drop him unless, God forbid, he gets an injury. I don't think anyone would wish that on anyone. And then Kelman obviously did lose his spot after the Watford game. Leeburn come in and put in a good performance, and then he come back in again. So it shows he can make changes. He's just still persisting with what works. So he's going to get to a point where things are just going to get sussed out. And then Tom, I'll come to you finally. I want to talk to you about TC specifically. I'll give you your boy. He has not been dropped at all this season. I believe he started every game. And this was an issue we had last season as well, because we talked about his fitness, because he played a lot of games. He looked knackered quite a lot of the time in games. And ultimately, the only time he did lose his spot in the team was when he picked up a little knock towards the end of the season. Because if I remember correctly, I think he started, if not every single game, or made an appearance in every game.
It was 99% of the games he started,
Yeah. So he's played up front in every game. He's got 1 assist, which was the only time he stuck a ball in the box for Apsa's goal against QPR.
Mm-hmm.
The more I like TC, I do think he's a good player. I think he can offer something to this team. But the more I see him play up front, the more I just think he limits this attack, and the more I think perhaps the Championship is a step too far for him. I just think that if we're going to play a forward line, and if TC is going to play up front, you need to teach him to play more centrally. He has to get closer to the striker. I know he's a winger, but if you're going to start him as a striker, you've got to bring him central, or change the system and play him as a natural winger where we can get the best out of him. But obviously the issue is we can't isolate the striker. And it's clear that when we have played that position, Kelman is isolated in that position. So that is the headache that Jones have. I just want to give your thoughts on TC in terms of how have you seen him so far, in terms of, do you think he limits the attacking line, and where do you think Jones needs to go? It sounds obvious. I've probably given you an answer, because I think most people would agree that we need to change something. But yeah, what do you think? What can he offer this team? Because I think a lot of Charlton fans are really starting to question him at this point.
I mean, I think we've said many times, no one can question his work rate. He will give 110% every single time he's on that pitch. It's as simple as that. He's a Charlton boy and he wants to do well, but the last thing I want to do is have his confidence ripped away from him, because we saw what happened when it happened last time. He became a shell of himself, and we don't want that. I think plenty of us have said many times, put him on, bring him on 60, 70 minutes, let him run, and then we'll see what happens, because that it's something different. Because I think we saw from Watford, these Championship teams will double up on him every single time, because they know exactly what he's going to do. They don't know what Tanto's going to do, or anyone like that for that matter. I know we said a few times to change to a 4-3-3, but I just say Kelman up front on his own, I just don't think works at all. Obviously we don't know that yet, but it is worrying, because you can tell from the fans, we want TC to do well. We want him to get the goals. We want him to do the assists and all that stuff, because it is in him. But the last couple of games, he seems to be afraid to take his man on, whereas last year he would take his man on every single time, pretty much, which is interesting. I don't know. It's a weird one. As I say, I would obviously put him on the bench as much as I love him. I don't want his confidence being ripped away, and I don't want him to be a shell of himself, because, as I said, once he gets going, you can't stop him. It's as simple as that. Once he's in his rhythm, I think it was against Millwall, he was on an absolute madness. He wanted to do well. But yeah, you can see the, I guess, not backlash, criticism is kind of getting to him a bit. So I mean, I'd happily put him on the bench for Chef Wednesday, because, as I say, that's not going to be a walk in the park at all. But yeah, I'd have Tanto up there instead, just purely because of the numbers of Tanto last season as well. because
Yeah.
he is rapid as well, if not faster than TC sometimes as well. Because once he gets going, he will push you out the way if he has to. But I mean, even saw for was it Carey's goal, the way he held up that their right back or something was insane. If he does that for 90 minutes, I'm happy. And then bring on TC for last 15-20 minutes, I'd say. So yeah.
It's more so that with TC, really, it's just as you said there, we need to protect his confidence and make sure that he stays. You know, I mean, we saw that we could tell towards the end of last season that he was being overplayed, especially when he recently broke into the Jamaica squad. So I just think he cannot. I still think he can offer something, but as you said there, I just don't think he's offering anything when he starts games. And I think that when we play someone more centrally, someone like Tanto or Lieber, who can bully the defence a bit, that's when we can utilise him in the final 15-20 to attack players and see what he can do. We offer something different. Ultimately, I mean, we know end product is a massive problem. I think someone just said in the chat there he's got 2 assists from 40, nearly 50 odd games, which ultimately
48 games,
from an attacker or a winger is not enough. I think we can all agree. He had a good season, I think, by his standards last season, but they were in sort of inconsistent.
I think the reason why Jones keeps in team is because the way he brings the team up sometimes. Because obviously his pace, if he uses it to his advantage, he will bring that team up quickly as anything. But then I think Carey's kind of taken on that role a bit more this season, the way he kind of runs into midfield, which kind of leaves TC on his own, if that makes sense. But I don't know. Obviously, as I say, Jones has got a headache to do because he trusts him. And I think apart from maybe Kaminsky, I think he's the only player that started pretty much every game apart from maybe Lloyd and Connor.
Yeah, he's got the team that he trusts and he's got the individuals that he does trust. But ultimately, I wouldn't want to be Jones right now with the squad that we do have. We know that we've got quality in all areas of the pitch. But it's clear that a change needs to happen. I think that's very clear, and it'll be telling to see what happens after the international break.
If I may, Tyler, I just wanted to expand on one of the comments Tom made there. This doesn't have to be a negative for our club and those 2 players if they do come out. If Kelman comes out, if Campbell comes out, the irony is that if Tanto and Lieber go on for 60 minutes and terrorise the back 4, and then leave them in a state where Kelman and Campbell can come on, Kelman has probably got every chance of getting his first goal. Tyrese has got every chance of getting his first goal. Then you might see that confidence that, okay, they come on at the 60 minutes and ultimately they might be disappointed they haven't started the game. But if we're saying that both of those guys need a goal, if the back 4's knackered, those 2 are fresh, there's every chance they might bag a goal or 2. It might well happen, and it doesn't have to be a negative on their side or our side as fans, to be honest with you. But I think it's a point that we've made and a point that Tom made well there. It doesn't have to be a negative if they come out. It might end up being the ultimate positive that we're all wishing for.
I might say,
and it could even work out the other way around in terms of if Lieber and Tanto start, maybe
that's what I was going to say.
As well, maybe they can start scoring straight from the off, and then Kelman and TC when they come on with knackered legs, then they can get on the score sheet as well. So exactly, I think that's what we'd all. I think that's what we'd all want to see, to be honest.
It's also a question of who gets on the bench when Gordon's back as well, because someone's going to be left out of that bench when he's back fit, and it's as simple as that.
Like I said, those are the decisions he's got to make. That's what that's what he gets paid for. That's what he gets paid for. He's got a massive headache. Would not want to be in right now, but it's clear that changes are needed. Before we get into the final question, I want to ask about Tom. Is there any? I'm sure there's more interesting points to raise with the attack in the chat. See what everyone's saying.
Let me have a look.
Not necessarily need to say them all. Just pick out sort of
there's a few people saying comparing Tanto stats to TC's last season is wild. Apparently, someone saying Kone would have been a better signing. I don't know.
Seen that
having TC as a strike partner is unfair on Calman. Produces nothing, looks fancy, but nothing in the end product. Have a look. We're all very frustrated. We'll let Jones know soon if he carries on with the strikers. It is insane that he plays the same strikers who don't play well together, who are both 4 foot tall. Roster said that. It is a serious problem. It's going to be a long off season if our striker can't score. That is relegation type stuff. If people are saying they don't want to play TC against Chef, I agree. Obviously, we get onto that next week. There's not much really going on at the moment. Mark said that he agrees with Steve. I think we're using the strikers the wrong way around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's also in terms of a system thing as well that we've seen, because I think I raised the point a few times where we're playing balls long to TC and Kelman, and we're playing balls in behind to Leeburn and Tanto, where we should be doing it the other way around. No, the complete other way around. So those are the differences I think we need to see, to be honest. But I think we can. Yeah, I mean, I'm not getting massively downbeat about it yet because obviously we're still mid-table and we're in a very good position. But ultimately, one goal from the strikers will become a major problem if it persists towards the end of the season. And as someone probably rightly said, I don't want to think about it, but it's something we need to think about before we get dragged into that sort of battle, which ultimately we thought we was going to be in at the start of the season. So we'll just have to wait and see. To wrap things up, obviously we don't have a game to preview because obviously it is the international break, which I think a lot of us hate for many different reasons. But obviously we've got a 2-week break, rest and recuperate. Obviously, I'm assuming a few of the players on international break. I don't know where international duty. Sorry, I don't know whether I'm assuming TC got called up for Jamaica.
It's just the Jamaican squads.
Just the Jamaicans. So Bell, Anderson, and TC. I'm assuming.
Yes, Dixon's also in there as well.
Good lad.
He's apparently been doing very well for Crawley as well. So.
And Carno's pushing it at Walsall.
I'm about to say, on top of that, Mbic had an absolute belter of a game yesterday. Jack Payne got his first career hat-trick because of Mbic on the pitch.
Yeah, I've heard he's been playing really well. Colchester fans really love him. But those are good to see the lone players smashing it, and it gives us even more of a headache when they come back in the summer. Anyway, off topic. Yes, obviously we've got a 2-week international break, and obviously we're straight back into 3 games in a week: Sheffield Wednesday, Ipswich, and Hull. Very tough games. Obviously, 2 of which away from home again. So coming to Steve and Sid first, I want to ask you, what would you? I mean, if in a position, if you were Jones, for example, what would you be saying to the squad over this international period, and what changes do you think need to be made over this international break going into what is going to be another tough period?
Yeah, I would hope that he's ruling Saturday out as a bad day at the office. We've had a brilliant performance the week before that against Blackburn. So, and as I say, we've got an excellent home record. So I'm kind of hoping that we'll be pumped up for it and ready to go when we play against Sheffield Wednesday. Ironically, probably a game that's not going to be as easy as we all thought a couple of weeks ago. They seem to put things up a little bit now, and the young players that they have got potentially kind of finding
Barry Bannon.
Yeah, he's always a problem, isn't he? Ex-Palace, always a problem. But in regards to the away games, Ipswich is. I mean, we all know that's going to be a tough one, don't we? We all know that's going to be a tough one. It's going to be a difficult night. We're going to have to defend really well. We're going to have to try and do what we haven't been doing and hold the ball up really well so we can get ourselves up the pitch. But Hull, I'm looking forward to that, going up there for that game. I think there's a couple of dangerous players they've got. McBurney looks like he's on fire at the moment, but then again, our defenders are on fire every week. So we're hoping that potentially we can keep him quiet. And it might be one that we can get a nice result up there. But positive. A bad game Saturday. Let's sort of wipe our chins, move on, and hopefully get a really good result against Sheffield.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's a good time to reset, dust ourselves off, go again. See Saturday as a bad day at the office and go again. But I think, as we just said there, Sheffield Wednesday. I mean, I know they just got smashed 5-0 by Coventry, but they're no mean feat.
I remember all though.
Yeah,
27 goals already this season. By the way, they've got plus 20 goal difference. That is obscene at this level already. And I wasn't impressed when Frank Lampard got appointed, but Jesus Christ. They look pretty good for top 2 at the moment. They're giving the parachute clubs a run for their money. Wednesday won't be an easy game by any stretch of the imagination, but it is at the Valley. That's a tough place to go to and win, as we all know. Ipswich is the big one for me. I'm expecting a spanking, to be honest, given our record that we've had there over the years. And Hull, our record is not very good there either.
No,
so
it's not.
We'll wait and see how we get there. But I know from the Carol Friday days, PTSD myself. But we'll see how it goes to see if we can rest and recuperate. Sid, anything to add? Same questions to you.
I do think that we need to just move on from it. And I do hope that Nathan Jones is saying, you know, we've got all these fans to back us and they are here for us. So I do hope that the players can just kick on, play the game, and hopefully we can get a few points out of the next few games.
Yeah, absolutely.
Russ has said that he'll take 4 points out of 3 games.
Yeah, I suppose I wouldn't mind that. Well,
I wouldn't mind that, to be fair.
Assuming beating Sheffield Wednesday, probably lost to Ipswich and a draw to Hull.
Let's get the 9.
That's the optimism we need. That's the optimism we need. Exactly. And Tom, finally, same questions to you. Anything to add?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be. I mean, as I say, every game's going to be tough in this league. I think we learned that from last night. Anyone can beat anyone. I mean, who'd have thought Middlesbrough we buddy top of the league and everything? For God's sake, Coventry scoring goals for fun. It is wild. Yeah, I mean, I'll be happy with 4 points from them. Obviously, I will not be going to Hull. Never again will I be going to that place. I'll be at the other 2 though. I've got Ipswich booked. Hopefully, it's not as bad as last time because it's a Tuesday night this time as well. So hopefully not as crazy. Chef Wednesday. I'm looking forward to Boom Bannon out of the valley. Put it that way. But yeah, it is going to be an interesting one, that's for sure. But yeah, just to put a little comment, if you are free Sunday, get down the valley because the women are playing as well. We are doing unbelievable. Put it that way.
Yeah. Oh, Emma's popped in. Hello.
Drink on the go.
Having a lovely time.
Yeah, I can imagine. I can see. How's it feel to be in posh for the day?
I'm always posh, not just for the day. What are you talking about? Okay.
Fair play. I'll give you that one. But yeah, right. That's all the job done for tonight. All things discussed. Good points raised. Obviously, I think as we can all say, Preston. Hopefully, we'll just dust that under the carpet. It did happen, if you know what I mean. But dust it under the carpet. We'll go again.
I'm not pissed.
Good to throw that in there. But yeah, rest, recuperate, go again, and then we've got another tough schedule after that. But hopefully, we can come back and get some more points on the board. So that's it for this episode of the Charlton Chronicles. Thank you all for tuning in, getting your conversation flowing in the chat. Nice to see your points and getting involved. Thanks again to Tom, Steve, and Sid as ever for your great analysis. And yeah, and Emma popping in lastminute.com. Nice to see your face and setting this up as ever. But yeah, thanks again for all the comments, and yeah, pleasure to be hosting again. Hopefully Emma will be back on regularly when the international break ends. And yeah, we will see you all next Wednesday. That'll be for when we preview Sheffield Wednesday. So yeah, take care, guys. Thanks for watching again. Follow us on all our socials, and we'll see you again soon. Take care.
Cheers, guys.
See ya.